Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a loose sketch of this cafe called the Coffee Cottage. I painted the front before, and I also love this corner where they used an old caravan or trailer and turned it into part of the cafe, so you can see that they have many very interesting corners. I'll be using Arches watercolor paper, which is 100% cotton and one of my favorite watercolor papers. I will be painting a light base layer with 3 main colors first, so when mixing, I focus on making these 3 colors look harmonious together. With this first layer, I'm basically just blocking in the basic colors and shapes that I see in the reference photo. To be honest, your painting won't look good at this point. Painting in this way, you get used to seeing your work look ugly at first, and this is what they call the ugly stage. Sometimes, especially when I was just starting out, I would feel demotivated when I saw that what I was working on looked ugly. And just like many things in life, this is just a phase. You have to put work into it before it can look good and hopefully become great. It's okay if the picture doesn't look exactly like the reference photo at this point. To me, loose sketching actually means you let loose and focus on capturing the mood of the place instead of being super accurate and fussing over like the exact proportions. After the base layer is done, I leave the painting to dry before I start my inking. I'm quite slow with inking, especially if it's a subject that I'm really not quite familiar with. So in this case, it's a subject with lots of details and different elements, so I really took my time. When sketching, sometimes I get things wrong, or it becomes too messy and complicated in some areas. I try not to focus on these flaws, but to continue on progressing through the whole image. Because ultimately, the goal is not to get it perfect, it is to finish the piece, and even if it comes out less than perfect, you would have learned something which will benefit your future drawings. Looking back, I think I should have simplified the plants on the right, and the perspective is also not quite accurate on this one. Usually, if it's a difficult piece, I start with a pencil outline first, and then I get a more accurate drawing. However, overall, I still like how the inking turned out. Now I'm starting to paint all the wood areas with a mixture of burnt sienna, burnt umber, and ultramarine. Now I'm starting to paint some of the greens with a mixture of sap green and yellow ochre. I also add some dark green before the paint dries. Now I'm using a mixture of vermilion and crimson lake to paint the red letters. The red letters looked too intense to me, so I used a wet brush to remove some of the paint. Next, I used a mixture of compost blue with ultramarine for the windows and also the awnings. Here I'm using permanent yellow deep for the lights and also some of the pots. Here I'm starting to add the shadows with ultramarine and burnt umber. Most of the colors are blocked in at this stage, so now I stand up and view the painting from afar to see if there are any areas where there is not enough contrast and saturation. This part here has more contrast than the rest of the painting, and the shadow is also darker. I will also follow the photo and add some more shadows here closer to the trailer top, because it currently looks like the background is a bit one-dimensional and kind of distracting. I continue making little adjustments to the painting until I feel that it looks pleasing to the eye. If it looks ugly, then I just continue working on it until it improves, bit by bit. I removed some paint from these lanterns to make it look brighter, and the plants here also look too dull, so I'm also removing the paint a little so that I can add some yellow and make them brighter. Here I'm wetting the surface at the background portion so that I can add another darker layer using wet on wet. So you can only do this with good quality cotton paper. Now it looks a bit more balanced, but I think it looks a little dull and needs some highlights, so I'll be using this white gouache to give it more highlights. And it's done.